The U.S. Senate passed the S386 bill on December 2nd, 2020, but will it actually become law? The bill would remove the limits on the number of green cards that can be issued to immigrants of any one country in a given year. Skilled Indian immigrants would have the most to gain from this, as many of them have been stuck in the green card backlog for almost 10 years or more, whereas immigrants from other countries get their employment-based green cards in 2 to 3 years. But I want to caution you to not get too excited just yet. The S386 bill that just passed the Senate added new provisions that make it a very different bill than the original bill, H.R. 1044, that passed the House. When I first read that the S386 bill got passed, I got incredibly excited, but as I dug into the differences, I do think we have some ways to go. Today, I want to explain the key differences in the two bills, what happens next, and the chances of this bill actually turning into a law. Let's dive in. For more updates like this, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell to be notified when I post a new video. So here's what has to happen for this bill to actually become a law. The differences between the two bills, H.R. 1044 and S386, have to be reconciled, and they then have to be passed in both the House and Senate again. Once this happens, it can then go to the President, who will sign the bill into law. This is harder than it sounds. Let me explain why. Just for context, the bill that passed the House, H.R. 1044, was 7 pages long. The original S386 bill was also 7 pages long. The amended S386 bill that just passed the Senate was 36 pages long. So you can imagine the number of amendments that have to be reconciled. And here's what the chairwoman of the House Judiciary Subcommittee on Immigration said. While I recognize the sincerity of all members and senators struggling to find solutions, unfortunately, the provisions sent to the House by the Senate yesterday most likely make matters worse, not better. Now, for this bill to become law in the current House and Senate term, they have to reconcile the bill, meaning they have to find common ground by December 18th, which is just around the corner. If they don't, then they will have to reintroduce the bill in January, where it has to go through the entire voting process all over again. And at the moment, the Democrats have the House and the Republicans have the Senate. The only thing that could change this is there are special runoff elections for 2 Senate seats in Georgia coming up in January. If the Democrats win both those seats, that would change the make of the Senate. But if they don't, the Republicans would hold the Senate. So what are the chances of this bill becoming law in the current term? I personally think low to medium, because I think they have a very short amount of time between now and December 18th to find common ground, and I think some of the new provisions in this bill will stir up a lot of debate, and I'm not sure that they will be able to find this common ground in such a short amount of time. I hope they prove me wrong, but we'll just have to wait and see what happens over the next couple of weeks. I do want to say that this is the most progress we've made on this topic in nearly a decade. Never before have we gone this far. So even if it doesn't pass in this current term, I do think we're getting closer to a solution in the near future. Let's go through a few of the differences in the two bills. I'm going to focus on 3 new provisions that I think are going to be the most problematic and cause the most back and forth as they try to reconcile the two bills. There are some amendments that actually seem reasonable, such as a guarantee for foreign nurses, so I don't think amendments like that will stir up a lot of debate. The whole point of this bill is to remove country caps on employment-based green cards so that skilled workers are given green cards on a first-come, first-served basis. Today, no more than 7% of green cards in a given year can go to skilled workers of any one country. But more than half of our skilled immigrants are born in India. As a result, 90% of the green card backlog right now is Indian immigrants. Just to give you some perspective, if a skilled Indian worker came to the US today to work in tech, that person probably wouldn't get to see a green card in his lifetime. Whereas if he was simply just born in another country, he or she would have a green card in 2 to 3 years. So that's how the system is unfair today. So both the House and the Senate bill phase out these country limits while keeping the total number of employment-based green cards at 140,000 per year. What's different is how they propose to phase out these limits. The Senate bill that just passed has an 11-year phase-out period. The bill's changes wouldn't go into effect before October 1st, 2022. For skilled workers in the EB2 or EB3 category that are not born in India or China, the bill guarantees a percentage of green cards for 9 years. And those percentages look as follows. In year 1, 30%, year 2, 25%, year 3, 20%, year 4, 15%, and 10% in years 5 and 6, and finally 5% guarantee from years 7 through 9. No more than 25% of these reserved green cards can go to immigrants from any single country. In the House bill, the changes would go into effect immediately with a 3-year phase-out period instead of 11, and a 15% guarantee in year 1 for those not born in India or China, and 10% in years 2 and 3. 11 years is a very long phase-out period, and under this approach, an analyst at the Cato Institute estimated that it would take 13 years to process the existing green card backlog for Indian immigrants, which is a really long time for people that have already been waiting almost a decade or more for their green card. Green cards that have already been approved, mind you. The next amendment that will surely cause some debate is limiting H-1B and H-4 visa holders to no more than 70% of employment-based green cards in a given year for the first 9 years and 50% year 10 onwards. This basically continues the discrimination against Indians because Indians on H-1B visas are the majority of people stuck in the green card backlog. So this essentially undercuts the bill because the whole point of the bill is to remove this discrimination. If there were no backlog, then this amendment wouldn't have that much effect, but as it stands, there's a large backlog, so I do think this is going to cause a bit of a debate and something for the House and Senate to work through. The third new provision is a very broadly stated one that says that the DHS will not adjust the status of any alien affiliated with the military forces of the People's Republic of China or the Chinese Communist Party. Now, while the intent behind this may be reasonable, and it certainly sounds reasonable, how are they actually going to assess how someone is affiliated with the CCP? And what if someone is affiliated with the CCP out of fear of persecution? It's a very broad provision, so I think this could stir up some debate, but I'm not a China expert, so I don't know how the House will react. I just know that the whole point of this bill is to get rid of country-based discrimination, and the risk you have when a provision is too broad is you don't want to accidentally now discriminate against Chinese immigrants instead of Indian immigrants. So that's a quick summary of the provisions that I think will cause some back and forth, but we'll just have to wait and see if they find some common ground before December 18th. And just to be clear, this is just my professional opinion based on my studying of the bills and what I've heard from immigration policy experts on this topic. If you found this analysis helpful, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and share this with folks in your network. I will see you in the next video.